So as far as, let's say, newer entrepreneurs, as far as I'll say stepping into a leadership role, where does leadership begin in the business world, especially entrepreneurship?
It's so hard to say where it actually begins. If you have an idea, let's start with the incubating. You have a great idea. How you strategize that, how you move forward with that, that's an innate leadership skill. I'm going to have a marketing strategy. I'm going to have a sales strategy. I'm going to develop my brand this way. Those are all leadership skills because you're making really important decisions.
So where did you get started? What do you consider to be your earliest leadership experiences?
Oh, wow. I would have to say, when I'm not kidding, it goes back to probably when I was 8 or 9 years old, and a group of us put together a neighborhood newspaper. Three of us did, three little friends about the same age. And we hosted a beauty pageant, and we had articles and recipes that we got from the different neighbors. And being able to organize that at such a young age and actually publish it month after month, looking back, I learned a lot about leadership skills and taking the initiative. Some of the things I carry forward with me to today is the idea of sharing that responsibility and delegating with other people, whether I was aware of it or not, or it just naturally happened. I think that's what made the whole thing work then. And I think that's what makes or helps me be a better leader today is that sharing of ideas and giving people autonomy to create some of the most innovative, creative ideas.
As an adult, let's say maybe college or later, what are your first memories of leadership where you were consciously aware of, okay, I have a responsibility as a leader? What did that look like for you? When did you discover being consciously aware that, okay, I am a leader now? What did that look like?
In my earlier career as a costume designer, the responsibility of creating a look, making sure the costumes, if you will, were at a place where they could be perceived from the audience. Meaning, when that curtain goes up, and this was a very important lesson I learned early on, when that curtain goes up, I can't be up there and the assistants can't be up there hemming and sewing. It's showtime. And I think that whole idea of it's showtime was an early leadership development, probably turning point for me to realize I can't do everything. I have to prioritize, can't sweat the small stuff,
Mhm.
and lead through that and make sure the team understands that the work that they're doing contributes to that success, to that vision of what things need to be, and that they're not necessarily failing because they don't get everything done checked off on the task list.
How do you how do you mentally keep on keeping on during the dark times? Because it's one thing to look back and say, wow, I had these rough times, but I sold my company for 10 million. It's a different level. When you're in the trenches, what advice do you have to keep on keeping on to be a good leader?
I'm going to be honest with you, and I face this myself. It's hard to keep the pom poms up every day, all day, and I don't think that's realistic. I think we need to acknowledge some of those difficult challenges, but as a visionary, keep your eye on that ball. Recognize, okay, this isn't working out 100%. It doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
Accept that, sit in that, and honestly, the vision is what's going to take me there. That's not going to hold me back. So I've acknowledged it. I'm now trudging forward and keeping my eye on that goal, that idea of what it's going to be, because the bigger vision is how you're going to help people, not sitting in that sullen moment where you've messed up. The idea is to accept it, make it part of your story. They say go out and walk in nature. I do that a lot. Just to clear the air, move forward, and get back on that road to that vision.
How do you know when you're on that road and things get tough and maybe a couple failures happen, not failures, but I'll say lessons happen. How do you know when to keep going down the road and when to shift gears and say, I don't want to say giving up, I'll say shift gears to another project or something different. How do you determine, I got to just keep on and I'll get to that vision as opposed to, okay,
Mm.
this is not working. I need a new vision. How do you tell the difference between those two?
I don't know that there's a magic wand for that, but something I work with my clients that when they're using the framework that I work with them on being able to communicate that story, being able to step into their power and lead with gravitas and assuredness, they'll say, "This feels weird. This is something strange." And I'll say, "Yes, exactly." Because if you keep doing the same thing you're doing over and over again and the results are the same, well, we all know that famous quote is the definition of insanity. You can't change. So you've got nothing to lose because you already know what the end result is, just staying in that path. And when that repetition and the movement stays flat, that's when you say, I got to do so. That's what I say. Try something new. I got nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, it stays right where it is. But you can try something new to propel yourself forward. And that is usually where the growth and change happens. And it's recognizing that, giving it 1, 2, 3 shots. After that, if you're stagnant, that's a sign to do something different.
Well, once you get through the switching gears or staying the course, you're very close to or realizing your vision. Is legacy something that you look back on and say, "Wow, this is my you"? Is it retrospective where you're looking, "Oh, I was here, I did this," or is a legacy something you're actively building while you're building the legacy? Or, like I said, is it something that you look back on and create a story in hindsight, or a little bit of both?
It's not creating a story, it's just retelling something you've experienced. It's there. Life is a story. Every day you do something is a new idea, a new story, a new experience, a new case study, a new data point, a new white paper. Those are the ideas that it's important to, yes, reflect on them and bring them back into the life going forward. But it's not a manufactured thing. It's a truth. It's a truth that you're happy to share to move people forward. For example, I coached a young guy who was a very, very successful entrepreneur. I mean, he made it to like well over 100 million in his 20s. He was a college dropout and he created a watch company. And through social media, which he knew really, really well, he built this whole company and sold the organization for millions and millions of dollars. After the sale of that company, he came to me and he said, "I have nothing to talk about. The company sold. That was my identity. I don't know what to talk about and show up now. Who am I? I'm nothing without that organization." So what we unpacked together was the fact that that journey, whether it's in the past or it's current, is part of that story, is part of that legacy. And identifying with that as an entrepreneur and focusing in on the little moments, the pivotal moments, the early days where you had no followers, let's say, to the time where you had millions of followers, to the time where you couldn't fulfill your first order for your product, to the time where you sold hundreds of millions of units. All those details are every bit of who you are today and where you're going tomorrow. And changing that story, be able to express that story, changed everything.
Oh, I like that. Okay, truth that you're happy to share, and then to move people forward. Is it inspiring people, or what? When you say people, what people are you referring to? Is it their employees, their network at large? Again, a little bit of both. What people are you
Yeah.
moving forward as a leader with your legacy?
Yeah. It's your audience. It could be your client base. It could be your board of directors. It could be your employees. It could be your constituents. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to some of the greats like Steve Jobs. We're motivated by that vision. Many of us went out and bought Apple products. It was more expensive than the PC at the time, but we went out because we wanted that vision. We wanted to be part of that journey, that bigger idea. It wasn't a dollar exchange so much. And that's absolutely it. By sharing your legacy, people are motivated by how you overcame your obstacles, how you managed things, what different things you did that changed the world for you. And it's absolutely motivating and encouraging people. These stories I mentioned on Valentine, You want people to invest in you? You want people to put their money and time into your idea and vision? Stories are what's going to make that happen, that legacy, how you did it, not necessarily a bland fact sheet or a feature and benefit. You can read that on the box top. Anybody could own that. But again, as Don Valentine says, and I think it's so brilliant, that's how the money works. The money flows as a function of the story.
And you mentioned motivating people, and Steve Jobs, obviously a phenomenal on every level that I understand, at least through interviews, a great motivator.
Yeah.
In order to motivate people, I'd imagine, and tell me if I'm on point, first you have to get them, I'll say bought in, or you have to get them to want to be involved with your legacy. And once they're involved, then you motivate them. What do you do to get people involved? Maybe in the early days, because then you can motivate them once they're, the herd is there. But how do you build the herd? How do you get people to buy into your legacy and your vision in the first place?
To buy in is sharing those moments of success, of failure, of trial and error. It's honest, it's truth. I mentioned that earlier. And that's what people buy into, that honesty and truth. Nothing else. Absolutely. It's because you build business on trust. I trust you because you're honest and you're truthful. And if you think of every successful brand, including individuals, I mean, Martha Stewart, there's a great documentary out about her journey and her story. It's incredible how she went up and down. The woman went to prison and came out another success story because of her honesty and truth. And that's why people ramped up and followed her again.
It sounds like you're saying vulnerability is part of leadership, and so many people think a leader has to be, the big statue in the town square, and they're amazing, and oh my God, if I can just get employed by him or her, it's great. Are you saying that leaders need to be vulnerable to be effective?
That ugly word vulnerability that scares people, I'm rephrasing it as truth and honest and being humble. So maybe that's a little less intimidating. But even at the end of Martha Stewart's documentary, she says she can't be perfect. And her whole vision, her whole mission in the businesses that got her to Walmart as $1 billion industry was perfection. And she came all this way to realize it isn't that. You can't always be perfect. I mean, that's quite a statement for somebody who built a brand on perfection. So absolutely, it is those vulnerable moments, those honest, truthful moments. You're opening the door to conversation. You're letting your people, your audience, your board of directors, whoever you're dealing with, know that this is an open door. We can have a conversation. And I want to hear what you have to say as much as here's what I want to share with you. That is really important because at the end of the day, all of us just want to be heard.
And I know I'm not going to think of the exact phrase, but when you become a leader, a lot of people say, I believe in it too. Great leaders develop other great leaders. When it comes to being a leader and helping others, how do you get other people below you or tangential to you in your network as an inspiration? How can you get them to embrace their legacy and start sharing their legacy? What does that look like?
Well, it's really important to, again, start those conversations to let people it's okay. And actually ask them, how do you feel about this? What's your defining moment? And let people know in those meetings, especially when you're getting status reports and updates about where things are, for better or worse, and let the team know, listen, let's figure out where the holes were. I know you're doing a great job, Mark. You've been holding the fort, but we had a little downfall over here. We had a setback. We lost client A, B, C, and D because the shipment got tangled up. Let's review that and see how I can help you and how others, what do you need to make this a success? So when you invite those types of conversations, it's not like you're wrong, you're out of here and you're fired. It's, we had a setback. How do we overcome it? And starting it that way, building those opportunities, especially in one-on-ones and especially in group meetings, acknowledging the better of the person. The team did great. But here's what the challenge is. How can we overcome this together? You're building a team. You're building a group that everybody's trying to rally on and reach the end goal.
Great news. The conversation continues. When you subscribe, like, and ring the bell, you'll know when a new episode has released. As always, speak remarkably.